Hello, good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the tail end of the 2023 BFBS AFVRC Season 3. What a season we have had so far. We keep it going, though, this week with our mystery chosen track, chosen at random last week, and it is, of course, Okayama International Circuit over here in Japan. A wonderful, wonderful circuit that I know a little bit about from many weeks here on iRacing in the Mazda MX-5. It's David Christie here on commentary with you tonight, and we are joined by the regular stalwart, the man himself, Mr. John Knighton, joins us again. John, welcome back, and great we could tear you away from the boxing this week.
Cheers, David. Yeah, nice to be back in the warmth. Yeah, great evening last week actually up in Colchester with the Army boxing semi-final. Sorry I couldn't be with you for that, but I gather it was a pretty exciting evening over at Knock Hill last week. But yeah, delighted to be in Japan, a country I have been to, and well, it's just a fabulous place. But this circuit has got so much going for it, hasn't it?
It really does, and while there might not be boxing tonight, the gloves are certainly off for the championship. Will Fox taking 2 wins on the bounce last time out at Knock Hill, and that means that he massively catches up to Ryan Martin, who is in the lead of the championship, 922 points ahead of Chris Pawley. Will Fox there, as we said, in 3rd place, Tom Stevens in 4th, James King in 5th, Chris Boland in 6th, Stu McFadden in 7th, again having a disappointing race too last week out at Knock Hill. Adam Barron, John Finch and Ollie Waynes making up your top 10. But we saw very quickly there the RAF, again this feels like a bit of a formality at this stage, 2,279 points, almost double the points of the Royal Navy and the British Army. In fact, they've got almost more points than both those other 2 teams combined. But we did see flashing up on screen very quickly the schedule for the remainder of the year here, or rather the remainder of the season. We go off to Brands Hatch next week with Oulton Park Island, Silverstone National on the 25th of April, and then the grand final, Donington National. I get the feeling though, John, that probably at Oulton Park we're going to have a really good idea about who is going to be on top of this championship.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at both the team and the individuals, obviously RAF drivers are completely dominating things, which is perhaps not surprising when you bear in mind, that there are a lot more drivers, obviously, from the Royal Air Force Motorsports Association involved in this. But nevertheless, it's going to be very interesting. I think that the team event, as you say, will probably be over by the time we get to Oulton Park. But there's still loads of points to play for in the individual championship.
There absolutely is, and as always we have to thank our competing parties, the Army, the Royal Navy and the Royal Air Force, and a huge thank you to RAFE Motorsports for obviously broadcasting this event as always tonight. Huge thank you to our commercial partners as well over at British Forces Broadcasting Services. We'll pretend we didn't see that happen. To Splunk and to racecarradios.co.uk for their assistance in making this entire championship happen. Let's talk a little bit about the circuit then, and you can see there on the right hand side, John, this is one of the advancements we've made over the past couple of weeks. We promised some real-time telemetry and data from Splunk, and there you go, not to 30 times. Again, so important on a track like this where it's very stop-start, very tight and twisty, and Ryan Martin, no surprise there, right at the top there, fantastic little insight.
Yeah, I was talking to Chris Slater a bit earlier on, and he said he's been doing a bit of practice on here. He said not a lot, but a bit of practice. Whether what he means by not a lot of practice could be hours or minutes, but
just 6 hours then.
Just 6 hours, and I think you can see there he's doing pretty well in those time slots as well. So I think I think it's a sort of circuit that requires quite a bit of practice, isn't it? Because it's full of twists and turns. It's full of excitement, but it's also full of potential traps.
It absolutely is, and being quite familiar with the circuit myself, I really do enjoy this circuit because it's one of those rare tracks that makes you feel like a superstar with very little effort. However, to get the most out of it and to be competitive at this, you really, really need to hit every single apex, because especially from here onwards, when you're going down into first corner, down through into Williams here, this is where you start losing time, because if you've not got got the momentum coming into here, you're going to go backwards at a rate of knots. Your next opportunity to get right back on it is down into Atwood Curve here, this big sweeping right-hander that doubles back on itself. So you go downhill, you're on the brakes, you turn right, you're then still turning right, and you're so impatient trying to get back on the throttle, and then it's climbing up the hill again here on the run down to Hairpin Corner for what seems like an eternity as we're on board with Chris Slater here. So again, you're going to be side by side with potentially 2-3 other cars here throughout the races. We've got about 9 minutes left to go into qualifying. On the brakes into Hairpin Corner. This is one of my least favourite corners because I am useless at it. Car washes out wide to the left hand side. It's then into the left hander for Revolver Corner. Again, keep it on the power here, pulling in the car. You don't want to take too much of the grass on the left hand side here. Through into Piper Corner. Again, another long straight here into Redmond Corner. Now this is very tricky, very treacherous, because you can unsettle the car. These GR86s will spin. You will see at least 3 cars tonight spinning at that corner. Through Hobbs into Mike Knight Corner here, this right-hander. Again, very deceptive, because if you take too much of that curb on the inside, you'll trigger a slowdown penalty for yourself as well. Through the final corner then, aptly named Last Corner, and Chris Slater looked very clean there. But again, one of the things that we've seen throughout this season, John, that time there is, oh my good lord, in the background, that is what we're going to see tonight. The point being, the times are so incredibly close, and we've seen this all through the season. These guys and girls are taking this very, very seriously.
Yeah, they are indeed. That description that you just made of the circuit, great to sort of get the driver's eye view, because it gives you an idea of the undulation, the up and down that this circuit, Okayama, provides. And I think that bit can't be understated, can it? The undulation, the fact that you've got to do the turns, you're also either going down or you're heading back upwards again. And those long straight, I think we could see some quite interesting overtaking tonight.
I think it's not just that. It's also the fact that, with these undulations and with these turns as well, you're going to have to avoid so many other cars having their own instance and making sure that you don't fall foul to that. Now, we saw that at Oulton Park, where it was a very, very difficult night for them. In Snetterton as well. That, I think, was one of the most difficult for them to avoid all of the chaos that's going on. I think there's a big chance of that happening again tonight.
Well, I think you surprised yourself last week, didn't you, with how close the driving was, but how clean it all was, and we hope, obviously, we're going to have the same tonight with plenty of discipline. Certainly from the races that I've been involved with this year, David, the first races have always seemed to have been well disciplined, and then we've had chaos in the second ones. Oh, saying that, that's not a lot of fun, is it?
I'm glad these damage repair bills are virtual here, John, because Chris Pauly, they're straight into the barrier, and well, that's a difficult one. But again, 6 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. It looks like the times are starting to roll out a little bit as Stu McFadden and Ryan Martin ratcheting up the pace here. And again, it just makes it so difficult when you've got drivers at the top 5 that are so fast. How do you do that? All you can battle with is yourself and the people around you, I guess. You're
right, and I mean, you talked about how the championship will be decided. Of course, it's not going to be decided tonight, but I think you don't need to look too much further than that. Those top 5, do you? To think, well, those are the guys who are going to be there or thereabouts come the end of the season.
I think that is absolutely spot on there as we're watching Lyndon Oval in the British Army Mission Motorsport car, a car that is very well known within the real-life motorsport circles, doing very, very well, and it's just great to see so many, different mini teams, represented here in their virtual fashion.
Well, Lyndon Oval, of course, representing Mission Motorsport as well, a fabulous charity that does so much to help our retiring servicemen and women, whether they're injured or able-bodied, whatever, to find work in the motor industry. and James Cameron and the team there were doing a magnificent job. It was great to see Linda representing them tonight, as she has done throughout the season, with the wonderful Mission Motorsport logos on the side of the cars. And I'm very proud that they're alongside our own BFBS ones as well. So, Linda, you keep that one going, because it's great to have you competing. It would be really good in future, wouldn't it, to see a few more female drivers getting involved in this. That would be a real step forward.
100%, and as someone that's involved in other platforms and other races that are trying to champion that exact message, 100%, it's something that we want to see, we need to see, and it's one of those great things where everyone is treated absolutely equal. It doesn't matter about your gender. All that matters is getting the result, getting the performance out there on track, and it's such an awesome thing to be part of. But with just 4 minutes left to go in qualifying here, Stu McFadden, pole position from Ryan Martin there, 1/10 of a second. But again, it's all about whether Stu can convert that into a race performance here. That's what we need to find out, because we've seen Stu be great at qualifying, but also being pipped by Ryan Martin right on the last of qualifying. So we'll wait to see whether or not that happens again this week here. But again, with just a couple of rounds remaining in the championship now here, John, we've got tonight here at Okayama, we've got Brands Hatch, Ilton Park, Silverstone and Donington. So including tonight, another 5 nights of racing here. A lot of points still on offer.
Oh, yes.
However, it's now we're coming down to the crunch time.
It is down to the crunch, and anyone who's sort of outside that top 5 in terms of the championship has really got to start showing themselves, haven't they? They've really got to start showing what they can do. So it'll be interesting to see tonight if anyone makes a bit of a run for us, if you like. Probably been the operative word. But again, it's just those familiar names at the top of the leaderboard at the moment. Stu McFadden has been there or thereabout. I know that you know Stu very well. Ryan Martin. Great week last week for Will, wasn't it? For Will Fuchs and Chris Boland as well. So and Tom Stevens in there as well. Those are people that you don't need to look too far away from to see them. But I'm just interested. Michael Clough there. He's climbed up to 7th fastest. Not seen anything from Michael really this year, have we? In terms of we know that he's got the ability, but we've not seen him really showing himself in race conditions. So
sure we saw him going into a wall last week at Knockhill, so we did see him very briefly, just not in the way we're used to.
Yeah, I missed that one, unfortunately, but I think you know what I mean. That we know what Michael Clough is capable of, and maybe tonight's the night for him. Who knows?
And that's the weird thing about this season as well, is that the names that are there, we know that all of them, whether it's been the Porsches or whether it's been one of the other previous seasons we've had, they're all capable of doing some incredible performances. But again, it just shows the different class that we've got right now with Stu McFadden, Will Fox, Ryan Martin and Chris Boland. I mean, the 4 of them are just right at the top there. In fact, Will Fox there up into P2, just 25 100ths of a second out of that pole position spot. So it is starting to get a bit tighter there.
Yeah, Will is certainly on the run, and he's not that far behind Stu McFadden either. So is he going to make a late charge for this pole position, all important pole position from the standing start that they'll be having?
Well, that is what we are going to have to wait and see, with just a minute and a half left to go in qualifying. Of course, then we'll go on to the grid for our first race of 2 tonight. David Christie and John Knighton here with you for all of the coverage. A huge thank you as well to Mike Yao behind the scenes from Sim Sports Solutions for giving us these wonderful images and sound here tonight. But as we said, Stu McFadden just in pole position, just by 2 100ths of a second. Ryan Martin in that 3rd place. And again, just looking at that championship battle, this is where Ryan needs to kind of put the foot in right now and stop Will Fox getting another lengthy sort of run on him in terms of points.
It is indeed. Whether he can stop Will or not is another matter. As we said, Will's been in really sparkling form. In certainly the races that I've seen him in, again last week, was in really good good form, and so it's one thing trying to stop someone. It's actually quite another actually achieving it.
You could always take a
Yeah.
a leaf out of my book there, John, and just literally keep the foot in. Just make sure it's on the accelerator and not the brake. However, these are relative professionals that we've got out there on track. So I'd be struggling to keep pace with this lot at this point in time. But it's fantastic to see, because obviously with the past couple of years, esports has been one of those competitions that's just exploded in popularity, helped in no uncertain terms with the pandemic and everything being locked down. Everybody turned to e-motorsports and sim racing, and it's really kind of stayed from there, where I wasn't sure whether or not the popularity and the interest was going to stay, but it certainly seems to have done here. We're on board with Ben Weston right now. That is qualifying done and dusted. The drivers on their last lap. Ryan Martin, the only car still out there on track just now, so it does look very, very good there, but he's gone faster again, 1/10 of a second. However, does he have anything in the tank on this final lap here?
Well, we'll see. He's not that far behind, Will, is he? So still challenging for that second spot, and that could make all the difference if he can just claim that second spot, that second place on the front row of the grid. Then it could make all the difference. But he's coming into the pits now, isn't he? So I suspect that we are probably there in terms of Stu McFadden, Will Fuchs second, with Ryan Martin third. That's probably the way it's looking.
Well, that's Ben Weston that's going into pits just now. That's Ben Weston that we're watching just now. That's Matty Chambers. Ryan Martin just coming through the final couple of corners just now. There he is out the final one. So let's see what Ryan can do as he comes out that final corner. Does he have anything in the tank as the final lap in qualifying? It wouldn't be a surprise. It wouldn't be a shock to see he goes across. It's not. It's a 1:44.533. So not able to improve 0.2 of a second slower, and well, there we go, a top three that we really shouldn't have been surprised at. However, I can't help feeling that it's going to get a little bit argumentative between these three.
Well, with so many points to play for and it being so tight, you could well be right there, David, but we wait and see, because as I say, the first races have always been reasonably well balanced, haven't they? But it's just the second races where things have got absolutely out of hand. And of course, we've got the spin of the dice, haven't we, as well, the spin of the wheel for the depending on who wins and comes in the top places in the first race. There could be a complete changeover when it comes to the pole positions for the second race.
Absolutely. Matty Chambers goes across the line then, one of the final cars to do so. Luke Arpino as well was on his final lap. He was just able to do it, but that is it. The qualifying session is over and we head to the grid for our first race of the evening then. Stu McFadden taking pole position with a 1:44.215 ahead of Will Fox in second place. Ryan Martin on row 2 along with Chris Boland. Row 3 is going to be Chris Pawley with Tom Stevens, and then on row 4 Michael Clough does get himself up at the P7 with Craig Dunn right beside him. It's Matty Chambers in 9th and Luke Arpino rounds out the top 10. John Finch in 11th and Dan Berris in 12th position. Adam Waters and Ben Weston line up on row 7. Row 8 is going to be Stu Etick and Ollie Waynes. Row 9 is going to be Colin Scott and Chris Slater. Row 10 is going to be Rhys Bowes and Ryan Abbots. Then on row 11 you've got Dan Hardwick and Lyndon Noble, Barry Abbott in 23rd, Jack Ajewski in 24th position with Glenn Griffin in 25th and Chris Sturnell rounding out the field, 26 cars strong here at Okayama. And John, this is going to be a very, very curious first race.
It certainly is. I'm looking forward to it very much indeed. So the cars just sort of coming round to get themselves lined up, and as we can see, a big virtual crowd there at Okayama who feel obviously exactly the same.
Yeah, certainly. I'm glad the cars on track look a little bit better than the cars in the car park. They're a little bit outdated and boxy for my liking, but a beautiful shot here sweeping over the start-finish straight here in the virtual recreation in Japan. Stu McFadden lined up on the grid. We've got about 20 seconds, I believe, until we get the green flag to get going. And again, what we've got to remember is with this standing start as well, it's a very different discipline. We've had rolling starts, we've had standing starts, and again, it's all about being able to get that traction down on the line. 10 seconds away from our first race in the evening. As always, a very warm welcome. Keep your comments coming in the YouTube chat. But the lights going on the bridge here at Okayama for race number 1, and it's a great start from Stu McFadden, but it's an even better start for Will Fox there. Stu McFadden goes across to the right hand side to cover off Will Fox, but he's going to have to give him some room there, and Fox dives up the inside. They go side by side in turn 1, and that was a terrible start to the race for Ryan Martin. Gets hung round the outside there. Stu McFadden holds on to the lead here. Will Fox in second. It's Chris Boland up to third place there. Craig Dunn and Matty Chambers having a little bit of an argument here. They're going to have to sort themselves out because too wide down this corner here is not going to work though. But Boland having a look up the inside of Fox there, and it's all single file as they come around that right-hander. But so far so good for the rest of the field here, John.
Yeah, great start from the top driver, Stuart McFadden, Will Fuchs as well. I thought he was going to just sneak it in there, taking the inside line, but it was just too tight really for him to get through that first bend. So McFadden holds his position, so does Fuchs. Chris Boland in third place.
Oh, late dive up the inside there. Tom Stevens absolutely sends it. Beautiful move there. Takes 2 positions there. Loses one. Immediately back to Paulie. Gets that done. But that was a wonderful move there from Tom Stevens. We've got Chaos and Carnage. Chris Slater dropping down. You've got Finch dropping down. Jakajewski making his way all the way from the back or the 23rd position all the way up to 19th position there. So that's a great start for him right now. But again, look at that gap. Half a second to Will Fox there. You've got side by side, you see John Finch here involved in what could only be described here, John, as a bit of a melee right now.
It is, but it's a clean melee, isn't it, I suppose? I mean, none of the cars have come off yet, so they're all still there. But they're fighting. This is what sports car racing is all about. They're all fighting hard with each other. Yeah, as you say, Stu McFadden is building a little bit of a lead now. It's just a gap, just what, 0.2 of a second. Doesn't sound much, but at this stage in the race, it'll be very important.
Yeah, certainly could. That was a beautiful move there for third place there. Ryan Martin slipping up the inside of Chris Boland into turn 1 then. So that is now onto the podium for Ryan Martin. He is going to be hunting down Will Fox, and Fox obviously feels like he's getting held up here because Ryan Martin, if he can bring that gap under a second, then we are going to have one hell of a fight here. 30 minutes left to go in the first race of the evening here. Have a look at Will Fox. In fact, I wonder if Fox would be better thought to actually work together with McFadden and push McFadden down the road, keep with him and try and make sure that that Ryan Martin can't stay there. But it doesn't matter because there goes Ryan Martin 7/10 of a second behind, and we have now got what's a 4 or 5 car battle for the lead, a way to develop within the next sort of five or so corners here, John.
I know, yeah, it's exciting stuff, but you're absolutely right, because there's just a little bit of a gap, isn't there, just between the second and third place cars now, and those two, they could work as a bit of a team, but I wouldn't expect them to do so because Jim McFadden will be expecting Will Fuchs to be challenging him, even if they're sort of working together right at the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, and great to see a lot of support coming in on the YouTube chat, as we were mentioning there. Reese Bowes getting a lot of love out there as well. Not wanting to say any, in quotations, racing incidents, so we'll say absolutely no more about that. But big shout out to Jane McFadden as well, who I believe, if I remember rightly, is Stu McFadden's mum, is in the YouTube chat cheering on Stu right now. But there he goes, side by side already, as if we were completely distracted. Will Fox has now got an absolute battle on his hand, because here is Ryan Martin and here comes Chris Boland as well. So it's now a 3-car battle for second place, and Stu McFadden is going to be grinning from ear to ear right now here, John, because he gets a little bit of clear air and a little bit of time to go off into the distance here. If he can take advantage of that, awesome, but he could also be thinking about managing these tyres right now.
Yeah, he could be, but suddenly, yeah, it's become a battle, and you know, Paulie's not too far behind, is he, Chris Paulie? So in 5th place, and Tom Stevens not far behind that. So we suddenly could have a very exciting battle for these podium places. Stu McFadden keeping his head, keeping it calm, and he has the lead. Although that's again, it's just being whittled down, isn't it? So Ollie Wayne was seen there, just making up a place on Stewie top there, climbing up to 12th place. So there's battles going on all over the circuit.
Yeah, fantastic stuff there. Great to see Ollie Wayne getting that move done there. I do wonder actually if this is tactical from Stu. I wonder if he's maybe just, because we've seen it and we've heard from drivers in previous races, John, if I remember rightly, saying that they were slowing the pace down so that they would get caught up by other cars and then take advantage of that. If that is the case, it's a very, very smart strategy, because then you wait till about 10 minutes and then you pull the trigger. But have a look at that second group there, actually. That's Tom Stevens, Cloughie and Craig Durrant. Now, you were on about that we haven't seen much from Cloughie this year, but also, I mean, our reigning champion, Craig Durrant, I think has had an absolutely torrid season this year.
Yeah, maybe this is where his season's going to change, but he's up there well into the top 10 in 8th place at the moment. And there's not a lot between these. It just needs one mistake from one of the leading cars there, and suddenly it all changes. With Ryan Martin at the moment in 3rd place. But again, there he is. He's just popped up, and he's neck and neck, isn't he, with Fuchs, and he's taken the 2nd place.
Yeah, beautiful move up the inside, and of course he's got to deal with that problem of Will Fuchs's intermittent connection issue here, and this is going to be interesting because he's going to get that run, that draft from Stu McFadden there right in front of him as we come up to the halfway point in this first race of the evening. But fair play, I mean, Will Fuchs still trying to hold in there, has to eventually succumb to that position there, but Ryan Martin up into P2 right behind Stu McFadden, and again this is where it's going to get a little bit fighty here. Let's have a look here what happened to Glenn Griffin, just running wide onto the grass, rejoins onto the track there, and well, that's going to be the least of his worries tonight. We'll absolutely brush that one under the carpet there.
Yeah, it's one of the few mistakes we've actually seen so far on the track, certainly that the cameras have picked up anyway. So well done all the drivers so far. With Chris Slater here, and where is Chris at the moment? We're just looking for him down. He's down towards the bottom, isn't he, at the moment? Famous last words. We've had a bit of a coming there, haven't we? Poor old Chris. That was him, and he'll be dropped right to the bottom of the field now. All that practice you were doing, Chris, not working. Yeah. Ryan Martin is challenging Stu McFadden, isn't he?
He certainly is, and that's you hate to say it, but this is a brilliant battle we've got going on. 5 cars scrapped right now, because don't discount Chris Boland and Paulie up there as well in 4th and 5th position there, because Boland is right on the back of this group and Paulie is poised to be onto the back of this group. But look at Ryan Martin hustling Stu McFadden with everything that he's got. And the clever money is on not fighting too hard right now, is on just saving your tyres, saving your energy until that final 5 minutes of the race as we cut to another replay. This is Adam Waters then into pit lane, tried to go to pit lane, and I think, he's clipped the grass on the left-hand side. And he's going to have to be careful because he might get a penalty now for cutting the penalty. Cutting the pit entry and incorrectly, or what's it, unsafe pit entry. We'll keep an eye on that. But Ryan Martin then in that 3rd position has dropped back a little bit from Will Fuchs there and into the clutches of Chris Boland here. So we'll have to figure out what will happen there. But again, into this 5-car battle.
I wonder if we can see what happened there with Martin coming away with Fuchs taking his place, because that kind of happened when we were looking at the other event. Here we are. I think we're looking at it now. Ryan Martin is in 3rd place, dropped down, and quite significantly, Ali. I think he might have had a bit of a going off there. Maybe we can see that replay now. So here we go. So it was a bit of a challenge. He was going for it, wasn't he? But it didn't work out. And he dropped back. He
didn't have anywhere to go, so Stu McFadden slowed down for that right-hander there, and it was just a case of Ryan Martin didn't have that ability to turn the car in because Will Fox just sent the car in there, as he was absolutely entitled to do there. However, as we've seen, it means absolutely nothing because we're all back together again as this happy family of 5 cars with just 5 minutes left to go in this first race. And again, where this goes, I've got absolutely no idea right now here, John. This fantastic race.
Do you think they're biding their time, the cars, at the moment? I just get the feeling they're sort of thinking, just weighing this one up and just biding their time. Ollie Waynes, thank you very much, Ollie. Could do without that today. But Ryan Martin and Will Fuchs just swapping places all the time. Martin back into second place. It's turning into a right dogfight. I'm just thinking about Chris Boland in third place there. He's thinking fourth place, rather. I've got an opportunity here. These two are just going for it like cats and dogs at the moment. Maybe I'm going to scoop up the benefits if they ever coming together.
I absolutely agree with you. I can't help feeling, though, that it feels like it's just simmering away. It feels like they're just waiting for somebody to pull the pin right now. And again, I think it's going to be a case of Will Fox trying to send it through onto to Ryan Martin there in that second place. So what, 3.5 minutes left to go in this race. 4.5 minutes, excuse me, on this first race. And there we go, a little look to the inside from Ryan Martin. He's nowhere near close enough there, so has to pull back in. That compromises his line out of that first corner there, so Will Fox able to take advantage of this. Now, this is where it's going to happen here. Going to be down into this hairpin right. If Fox can stay on line, keep into the draft there of Ryan Martin, he's going to pull to that right-hand side. The question is, does Ryan Martin also pull that right-hand side? He does, and he's got a great run on Stu McFadden. Stu McFadden covers him off there. Absolutely nothing that can be done here, John, and this is starting to get a little bit nervous for both of us here in the commentary box, but I'd imagine for all the drivers involved as well.
It's almost like Ryan Martin is pushing Stu McFadden along at the moment. I think Stuart McFadden is probably the coolest man in the whole circuit, but again, the challenge coming through. He's dropped down, Martin has got him, he's taken the lead, and in fact, that was an amazing bit of driving, because Martin was like pushing him along almost, and then grabbed his moment. He's got the lead.
That was beautiful, and that was a tactical error by McFadden, because and it's exactly what you said there. Is up the inside, there goes Will Fox as well. He had to do it. That is a championship battle right there, and a championship move as Stu McFadden tries to send it up the inside, coming into 3 corners to go here, as we've got almost 2 3/4 minutes left to go. So it's Ryan Martin, Will Fox, Stu McFadden. That's your new top 3 here. But that was exactly what happened there. Very similar to NASCAR, you know, the bump drafting, pushing the car along the straight there, but Stu moved over to the left-hand side to cover off Will Fox, and Ryan Martin just decided to send the car into that corner there. And great respect shown from all of these drivers here, John, you've got to say, because not any contact whatsoever and plenty of racing room given.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great racing, a very disciplined racing from all of those concerned. But will Ryan Martin now pull away, because he's nearly half a second clear now of Will Fuchs? But it's look at that, this trail of 5 cars there. But I totally agree with you. Really great driving from all of them so far, because they've kept their discipline, and they have really shown what the way that you should drive this race.
Absolutely, could not agree more there. As Stu McFadden onto the back end of Will Fox. He's not near enough here. Fox going to try and outbrake, but look at how much pace that Stu McFadden takes into that corner there, that long right-hander, and that was a bit of a slip on the traction there from Ryan Martin. Will Fox going to try and take advantage of it. I think we're going to get one more lap after this, so this will likely be the white flag, I would imagine, this time by here. But John, I mean, this is a fantastic race here, and again, you know, don't discount Boland and Pauly in 4th and 5th position there, as Stu McFadden tries to have a look around the outside there, compromises his line. Oh, now there's an interesting little fact there. Back marker traffic coming into play.
Indeed. And will that come into play? We'll say we're very close to the end of the race. Only a minute to go. But they are catching the back marker. I believe that's Chris Slater, isn't it? In fact, Chris has pulled over to allow them to get their way through. Well, it's look at it. It's a snake, isn't it? It's a snake of cars. Oh, it's Ryan Martin leading the way, and he's picked his moment brilliantly, really, really well to take the lead on Stu McFadden, and Will Fuchs has followed him into second place.
Certainly has. So let's have a look then. Final 30 seconds, the final lap of the race here. Stu McFadden now giving everything he's got. He pulls to the left, right hand side there, tries to make the move on Will Fuchs. Will Fuchs gives him a little bit of room here, but Fuchs is going to get the better drive out of this corner, I believe. Indeed he does. So Stu's going to have to get the run down here. Now this is going to be the question here, because as they come down into this hairpin right-hander, into hairpin corner, again, it's anybody's guess how this is going to go. You can see Chris Boland weaving about on the right-hand side there. But I've got a feeling that Ryan Martin has only got a couple of corners to go, and he's going to be feeling very comfortable indeed, because Will Fuchs, rather than attacking right now, has got Stu McFadden behind him, and he's trying to hold off. But Will Fuchs gets a great run out of Piper Corner here for the final time here on race one. What has Fuchs got in the bag? He tries to jink out, tries to out-nerve Ryan Martin there, but it's not enough. Into the right-hander then at Hobbs Corner. And then we've got just 2 corners left to go. We've got Mike Knight Corner coming up here. Stu McFadden is out of the running in terms of going for the lead here. It's going to be in through the final corner then, and it's going to be Ryan Martin that comes out. It's a beautiful, beautiful performance. Ryan Martin takes the win from Will Fuchs. Stu McFadden in 3rd position. Chris Boland, in 4th position. Chris Pauly in 5th. But what a race there, John, and a very, very event-free race there.
It was a terrific first race. Great driving, disciplined driving from all of them. But I've got hats off to Ryan Martin, because for quite a lot of that race, obviously he was challenging with Fuchs, and obviously Stu McFadden had the lead, but he picked his moment perfectly. You know, literally pushing Stu McFadden along, and then suddenly picks his moment, and away he goes. Good to see as well, Michael Clough, 6th place. That's a really good performance from Michael in that first race as well. And Tom Stevens 7th. Craig Durrington 8th place as well. Matty Chambers 9th. So good to see those drivers, getting some valuable points. Brilliant from Ryan Martin, and hats off to all of those top drivers. I thought they gave us a really good race.
They certainly did. We've got to say, treated to a fantastic little battle right at the end there, in for 20th and 21st position. Ben Weston and Barry Abbott toe to toe at the line, and Glenn Griffin not in the final corner, not like this, not quite the final corner. We've got a left-hander here, and it looks like severe damage onto that car. I'm gutted to see that, because that's at Redmond, and just 3 corners left to go on the final lap. That's heartbreaking for Glenn Griffin there. Your heart goes out there.
It certainly does. Hopefully Glenn can get things repaired for the second race in this virtual world. No, delighted to see such a great race there on the Okayama circuit there. Really brilliant driving from all of those top drivers.
Certainly was then. So it's Ryan Martin taking the win from Will Fuchs, Stu McFadden in 3rd place. That is your podium just now, and as soon as all the cars are into the pit lane, we'll be able to give you all of the final results, pending any investigations and all that usual razzmatazz. But a fantastic result nonetheless, and we look forward to seeing what the reverse grid for the second race is going to be in just a couple of minutes time. In fact, here we go. Let's have a look then. What have we got for our reverse grid for race number 2? It's a top 10 reverse grid, so that means that Lucky Arpino is going to be on pole position for the second race of the evening here. So I think he'll be very, very happy with that. Matty Chambers, I think, is going to be up in second. Craig Dunn means is also going to be up into 3rd position as well there.
Well, good for those drivers. I did say that, didn't I, at the beginning, that if you had a good reverse grid, it could give some drivers a real opportunity.
Certainly could. Here is our confirmed classified results then. Classified results. Ryan Martin taking the win from Will Folks ahead of Stu McFadden is your podium. Chris Boland is in 4th position with Chris Pawley in 5th position. Michael Clough in 6th rounds out the Royal Air Force top 6. Royal Navy in 7th position with Tom Stevens. Craig Dunn in 8th position. Matty Chambers in 9th. Luke Carpino in 10th. Dan Beres in 11th. And Stu Etic in 12th position. John Finch finishes in 13th position with Ryan Abbott in 14th. Lindsay Noble in 15th. Ollie Wind in 16th. Rhys Bowes in 17th position with Colin Scott in 18th position. 19th is going to be Chris Slater. It's going to be Ben Weston in 20th position, Barry Abbott in 21st, Dan Hardwick in 22nd, Jack Ajewski finishes in 23rd position, Glenn Griffin finishes a lap down after retiring on that final lap, Adam Waters finishes a lap down as well, and Chris Darnell unfortunately finishes 9 laps down. So there we go. Race 1 is done, dusted, and in the books. We've just found out that Luke Carpino is going to be on pole position for our second race of the evening. Very, very much looking forward to that. So we've got about another 10 minutes or so before our next race. We don't have any drivers in for having a chat with us. So what we'll do is we will head off for a little break just now, and we'll be back very, very shortly. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, for race 2 tonight. You are watching the British Forces Broadcasting Service AFVRC Season 3, Week 6, Okayama. That is quite the mouthful. We got there eventually, but it's David Christie and John Knighton here with you with live coverage of race 2 that's about to start very, very shortly. But a fantastic win in race 1 there. Again, time to perfection at the end of that first 15-minute race. But with no further ado, we head straight to race number 2 because Luca Arpino takes pole position from Matty Chambers on that randomised reverse grid. Craig Dunn in P3 alongside Tom Stevens on row number 2. Row 3 is going to be Michael Clough and Chris Pawley with Chris Boland and Stuart McFadden in row 4. Will Fox and Ryan Martin going to make row 5 with 11th place of Dan Berris and Stu Etic in 12th position. John Finch is in 13th position with Ryan Abbott in 14th, Lindsay Noble in 15th and Ollie Wind in 16th position. Rhys Bowes is going to be on row 9 with Colin Scott, Chris Slater and Ben Weston on row 10, Barry Abbott and Dan Hardwick on row 11 with Jack Ajewski and Glenn Griffin on row 12. We get underway already and already, as if we couldn't wait any longer. Luke Arpino leads them off down into turn 1 then. Matty Chambers up into P2 just now, as away we go already into turn number 1. And again, we've got chaos and carnage right at the back, and we'll have to get an idea on who that is there.
Yeah, I didn't see who that was. I think the camera cut away before we could see what happened. Looks like Ben Weston might have been involved in it there. But yeah, good start for Luke Arpino and Matty Chambers with Craig Durrant as well, chasing him in 3rd place, and Craig Pawley. What are the gentlemen who did so well in that first race going to do with Will Fuchs and Chris Boland and Stu McFadden and of course Ryan Martin, who is in 11th place at the moment behind Darren Berry. So he's got a bit of work to do. He's going to claw his way back to the top of the field and cement what was an outstanding first race that he had.
Or wasn't it, Justin? Who'd love to make amends and make even better improvements here in race number 2. But Matty Chambers now takes the lead then. You saw him slip up the inside into the hairpin there, taking that lead from Luke Arpino. Craig Dunn up into P3. You can see Stu McFadden having a little look up the inside. Tom Stevens there can't quite make it happen though, but they're still going to be side by side coming through. That right hander you've got, is that Lyndon Noble off in the background? It is facing into the wall there. Stu McFadden has a little bit of a wiggle there. This is coming down into Mike Knight corner. He's surely not going to try and hang it around the outside. Of course he is. And Stu McFadden gets that position from Tom Stevens. That's ridiculous. Will Foxall left behind Tom Stevens there. That's a great move. So Stu now gets up. He's going to be chasing down Cloughy, but here comes Will Fox as well. What a start to this second race here.
Yeah, terrific start to the second race. Absolutely brilliant start. And Matty Chambers, he's got that lead now on Luke Arpino and well, Craig Durham, but lots of exciting things going on sort of middle of the field at the moment with Will Fuchs working his way through. Stu McFadden now up there behind Michael Clough in 5th place.
It's fantastic to see. It really, really is. Ryan Martin gets past Chris Boland as well. So your top 3 from race 1 now into the top 10 again after the very difficult start there. You can see Ryan Martin just ahead of Chris Boland, and Boland actually giving him a little bit of a boost all the way through here, and moves to the outside of that hairpin. Luke Arpino though 0.6 of a second behind your race leader right now. So fascinating stuff. We're only 2.5 minutes, nearly 3 minutes into the second race of the evening here at Okayama International Circuit here on iRacing. Matty Chambers leads Luke Arpino. Craig Dunn in one of his best performances of the season so far. Touchwood. You've got Pawley up there, and Pawley gets that position then from Craig Dunn, just as we were saying how well he was doing. That's a position taken off him, but Dunn moves back on the inside. Let's have a look at the replay then. This is what happened with Ben Weston and Adam Waters. Chaos into turn 1 there, but to be fair, that could have been so much worse, John.
He could have taken about 4 or 5 cars out there, but as it turns out, only 2 suffered as a result. And I'm not quite sure if it was the 2 cars that were responsible for creating it in the first place. But yeah, we've got a very ordered second race so far, and David, haven't we?
I'll tell you what, actually, I'm seeing Matty Chambers and Luke Arpino up at the front there. The pace they're doing is enough to keep things going there, as we see Chris Slater losing it on his own accord into that right-hander hairpin. Very easy to do because it's off camber. You're going down the hill on the braking zone down here, and then through the corner, it then pulls uphill. And again, the car just doesn't know what it wants to do at any point during that corner. So very easy, and certainly won't be the last time you see a car going off backwards into the kitty litter on that right-hander there. But 5 minutes gone, with nearly 1/3 of the race distance complete here in race 2. Luke Arpino now 0.3 of a second behind Matty Chambers. Let's cut to another replay here. And
that's Lyndon Oval again, isn't it?
Yeah, looks like, and again, that's it on the left-hander there. Now that is on Piper Corner. What tends to happen again is that you just catch a little bit of that grass, and this is where they're coming up to now. You cut too early on that left hand there, you can actually spin the car round, and that's where you end up into the wall, and that's exactly what happened to poor Linda there.
We're still seeing Michael Clough in 5th place. Michael doing really well. Good to see him having a good race here. After the comings and goings that he's had over the last few weeks. And now with John Finch as well, number 886 for the RAF, and we got that wrong again in that hairpin. That seems to have been the one of the real problems in this race so far, David.
Yeah, that was Rhys Bowes that was in behind him. Now, the issue I have with that is that he moved over onto that other side, and I don't think Rhys had any chance of getting the car stopped down in time there, as we're watching Craig Durrant here. And was that a move for the lead? No, it wasn't actually, because Matty Chambers still... It was actually, yeah. So Luke Arpino, second place there, 0.7 of a second there. Looked like that car was maybe a little bit closer, but Craig Durrant back up into that third position here. And again, what I'm finding here is that our race winners that's a huge send from Luke Arpino, gets that position, absolutely sends it from last week there. Beautiful, beautiful stuff there. Have a look at Paulie now. This is where the scrap is going to be on here, because you've got no love lost between any of these drivers here just now. You've got Cloughy in the mix there. You've got Stu McFadden trying to make a move. Paulie is having to defend for everything that he's got right now. This is going to be chaos going in to this right-hander. Stu McFadden makes up a couple of positions there, and that is going to be Paulie trying to get on the inside of Craig Durrant here. I've got to be honest, that's an amazing testament to those drivers there, John. The fact that all of them, all 8 of them there, able to get through that corner without any real major issues.
Yeah, they did extremely well, and it's a real bunch up, isn't it? Look how many cars there. But the person who's really benefiting from all this is Matty Chambers, who, as you can see, is building a lead now. He's 1.3 seconds clear of Luke Arpino in second place, Craig Durrant in third, Chris Paulie third, and Michael Clough doing really well there in 5th place. And good to see Craig Durrant up there in the top 3 at the moment, so I'm really pleased about that.
Yeah, this is awesome stuff. And again, what's so difficult is that these GR86 Cup cars, so difficult to control when they get towards the end of their tyre life. When we see it about 12, 13 minutes into the race, when the tyres have been absolutely caned and they become really tail happy. We're seeing a lot of excellent car control from all of these drivers here, and yeah, really, really enjoying this, especially when we think back to Ulton, we think back to Snetterton and some of the frustrations that bubbled to the surface here. This is how you race here, John. This is how you battle on track.
And to be honest, this is the sort of track where you can do that, can't you? Because you have these you've got the long straights, but you've also got the exciting bends as well. So the cars can spread out. Although saying that, they are beginning to spread out a little bit, but there's still that bunch, isn't there, in that middle of the field there, where anything can happen. But as I keep going back to what I've been saying earlier on, all the cars have been really well disciplined so far, and let's hope that stays like that.
Yeah, Stu McFadden there, you saw him making some moves up into P5 ahead of Cloughy there, and then got caught out again into hairpin corner, got forced out wide. And when I say forced out wide, there was no contact made, but just the space wasn't there. There was 2 cars on the inside, and Craig Durrant fighting out with Craig Paulie side by side. Then here we go, as this is going to be down into Redmond corner. Who's going to bite first? It's Craig Paulie, up Chris Paulie even, and Durrant gets forced out wide. The horrendous season continues, and Craig Durrant down into 5th position there, but you get the feeling that there's going to be more cars eager to get past, especially when you consider Ryan Martin and Will Foulkes just behind, and Stu McFadden down there in 8th position.
Yeah, but look at Matty Chambers now. He's 2 seconds clear now. And this is absolutely playing into his hands, really, because he's under no pressure at all now, the front there. He keeps it going, keeps the right lines, just keeps it simple and straightforward and sensible. And the race could well be his unless something seriously happens. All the action going on behind him.
Certainly is. And Stu McFadden now, I think Stu McFadden's got a problem with his car because he's dropped off of this main group here. Tom Stevens having to fight everything that he can to hold on to this position. And as you said, I mean, you know, Matty Chambers, he's away. And you can see on the inside there, Ryan Martin trying to make a move up the inside there of Will Fox. Gets that position done. That's P6 and P7. So those two still fighting it out right now. Fox tries to get the cut back here. He's going to push Ryan Martin up this back straight so they can get past Craig Durn here. So intelligent driving from the pair of them here. But again, how they're going to make this work. Cluffy up in the P3. I didn't even see that.
No, he's done brilliant. No, because he basically took advantage of Craig Durn, and he's made his move. So well done, Cluffy. Yeah,
that's awesome. So that's Will Fox back ahead of Ryan Martin just now. Chris Pauly into P4 just now. So as you said, listen, 2.5 seconds. Matty Chambers, this is done, unless you know we have a last minute charge from Will Fox and Ryan Martin. I can't say they're not going to pull out 2 seconds in 3 laps or 2.5 laps. It's not going to happen. So everything is stacked in the favour of Matty Chambers. Now, you've still got 5 minutes of racing to go as Chris Pauly tags onto the back of Craig Durn there, goes out wide, loses a couple of positions, and that is disaster for Chris Pauly there.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Will Fox has benefited from that and will bit by bit clawing his way up towards that top 3, and that would, if he get a podium, that would be another great return, wouldn't it, on his racing here in Japan. It
certainly would, and we're waiting to see how this all pans out then. Also, some other notable performances so far. You've got Colin Scott up into P16, Ollie Wayne up into P13 as well. So yeah, some great performances all through the field. And obviously, we tend to focus towards the top because you know we've got 10 cars here within about 3 seconds right now. So that is how absurdly close everything is just now. Stu McFadden right onto the back end of this group as well. So don't discount him. He could still make a late charge as well. That's going to be a move to the inside then for Stu McFadden, as is Will Fox as well. So you just, honestly, at times like this, John, you just don't know where to look right now.
No, well, just keep your eyes on the on the lap changes because and the timings. But Matty Chambers is playing a textbook race here. Luke Arpino is doing really well too. He's held that second place. Obviously, he was pole position in the first at the start of the race, but he's holding that well. He's challenged by Michael Clough, and Cloughie won't want to give anything away here now that he's got himself in with an opportunity of a podium. So but Will Fox now up to 4th place. He's over Ryan Martin up with him as well. So my goodness me, the usual suspects are clawing their way back towards the top.
Awesome stuff. I think this might be the final lap that we are going to be on just now. Matty Chambers then leading by 2.7 seconds. Luke Arpino in 2nd position. Michael Clough in 3rd position. You can see going wide there is Chris Bolando having to try and fight to hold on to that position from Tom Stevens, who's been falling like a rock down that order there, as that is Ryan Martin still and Will Fox fighting it out side by side. Cloughie's in the mix here as well for a 3-car battle for 3rd place, but we keep our eye on this battle for 3rd place then. Michael Clough just ahead of Will Fox, and there's Ryan Martin in there as well. So this is going to end in tears. You just have that horrible feeling in the pit of your stomach. Stu McFadden caught in this as well as they go down towards hairpin corner here, John.
Yeah, but Matty Chambers keeping that now 3.2 seconds. Cloughie slipped at us there in 3rd place still. Arpino 2nd, Fuchs in 4th, and Ryan Martin in 5th. But things changing a bit further down there. Chris Boland has climbed up to 8th place. Darren Berry still in there in the top 10 doing really well. And Reece Bose as well. I've not mentioned him for a while. He's there in 16th place. So there's still challenges going on further down the field. And that's good to see as well, that it's just as competitive further down the field as it is at the top.
Certainly is, but round the final couple of corners then, Matty Chambers to absolutely take this one where no competition whatsoever. Luke Arpino down in second place has got a mammoth task behind, but Matty Chambers wins race number 2 here at Okayama. No, he doesn't, sorry, I was getting a little bit excited there. I was thinking that it was going to be the final lap, but never mind. Right, so this is the white flag. Listen, it very rarely happens. However, we've got extra excitement going on here because Ryan Martin just tried to send it up the inside of Will Fox there. So it looks like we're going to have to calm down a little bit and hold on to that excitement for to get one more lap. Poor Luke Arpino is going to have to make that GR86 the size of a double-decker bus this lap.
He's doing really well. Brilliant defence so far, but what a challenge coming in from Michael Clough now, and Craig Pawley as well. And Clough is now into second place. He has got past Luke Arpino. This is turning into a great race for Michael Clough. He's not going to catch Matthew Chambers, of course, but he'll be really delighted if he can keep that second place. But look at it. It's absolutely nip and tuck. Any mistake from any of those drivers could be total disaster for them. Luke Arpino's got it back to second again.
Yeah, yep, he certainly does.
And Clough's back in there again. And Wolf Fuchs has now got up to third. Goodness me, this is so exciting.
Yeah, Arpino got sent off wide there, but Chambers is going to be coming through the final couple of corners any second now. So Cloughy then up into P2 from absolutely nowhere. I did say do not discount anyone here. Will Fox trying to take that second position. A little bit of contact there. Oh, but Cloughy's still going to have the inside line there. Oh, there's contact. Oh, and that takes out. That's Will Fox has been involved with that. Arpino and Martin and Fox all involved, but Martin keeps going. Matty Chambers comes across the line in just a second to win the race, but that is huge. That is monumental for the championship. Will Fox taken out in that second race there is going to come across the line in P12. Cloughy though in P2, and I'll tell you what, they saved that all up for the end there.
Well, you said there was going to be chaos and trouble at the end. You're absolutely right. My word, they did save it for the last bend there, didn't they? Oh, dear, you really have got to feel for Will Fuchs there, because he was in amongst that melee, but keeping himself to himself, and he finds himself down in 12th place. But what a race from Michael Clough. I'm really delighted for him to have got a second place.
Oh, John, I don't envy you having to have a chat with Will, because obviously having that finish in race 1 and then in race 2, oh my good lord, he will be furious at that. But what a win for Matty Chambers and Michael Clough. Listen, we were saying at the beginning of race 1 there how disappointing a season he'd had. We hadn't seen what we'd expected from him. Absolutely makes up for it there with that second place. Great result. Stu McFadden. How? I'm sorry, in all of that, we completely missed the fact that Stu McFadden got third position from 8th. That is just craziness. Absolute craziness.
What a race.
That was awesome.
Just goes to show you've got to have eyes in the back of your head when you're doing commentary on this. You really have.
Well, if it was up to me, we'd be finished a lap ago. We wouldn't have even got all of that. So there we go. The classified results are in. Again, provisional. Matty Chambers taking the race win by 5 seconds. That is a fantastic result there for Matty Chambers. And Royal Navy dethroning Royal Air Force at the top of the table. We'll have to go back through the records of this season. I think that might have been the first time this season we've had a non-Royal Air Force winner. Michael Clough in second place, Stuart McFadden in third, Ryan Martin in fourth, Chris Pawley in fifth position, Luke Arpino in sixth, Tom Stevens in seventh position, Chris Bolins in eighth, Dan Berris in ninth, Stu Etic in 10th position, with Ollie Waynes in 11th. Will Fox is going to be absolutely spitting feathers coming into that final lap. He was in the podium position, and on that finish line he is down to P12. That is the way the cookie crumbles. Ryan Abbott's in 13th, John Finch in 14th, Craig Dunn in 15th, Adam Waters in 16th, Colin Scott finishes in 17th position, with Rhys Bowes down in 18th position. 19th place for Dan Hardwick, Ben Weston in 20th position, Jack Ajewski in 21st, Barry Abbott in 22nd, Glenn Griffin and Lyndon Oval and Chris Slater all finishing in the 23rd and 24th and 25th respectively. Wow, oh wow,
Wow.
oh wow. What do we say to that, John?
Well, I say I do think there's going to be a certain Will Folks is going to be spitting feathers, as you say. Whether he'll want to be talking to us, of course, is another matter. I think Ryan Martin and Stu McFadden are waiting for a chat. We'll have a chat with them very, very shortly. But what a race that was! In fact, two superb races, really. That was just a bit of a contrast, wasn't it? With all those cars challenging at the end there like that. All he needed was one little nudge and chaos. Absolutely.
That is exactly what happened there, and yeah, I mean, you hate to see it, but the simple fact is that that's what they're there to do. Everybody is pushing as hard as they can do. But as you said, we've got Ryan Martin, Stuart McFadden in for a chat. So, John, who do you want to have a chat with first?
Well, let's bring Stu in first of all, shall we? Because that was. Event, you really clawed that one back, Stu, in a way that we weren't expecting, because for a really long periods of that second race, you were down there in the pack, and there were other drivers who were making a real name for themselves. But 2 third places today, so that's not a bad return from your night's work.
Yeah, honestly, I've been really. I know I got pole, but I've been kind of really struggling tonight. I just pulled it out of the bag in qualifying. I was really frustrated in qualifying, to be fair, because I had another couple of tenths in the bag, but I just didn't execute it. So I need to improve for next week. But yeah, race one was good. Well, it wasn't good. Started from pole, finished third. But it was something was going to happen, and something was just going to snap, and I just decided to just take the points, take the third place, because you never know what everyone else is going to do around you. So I just took the points. Race 2, I knew I'd start in front of them, so I was like, this is a bit of an advantage. I can maybe play this here. Got a really good start, and I was like, right, let's get chomping on. And just I just generally just struggled for pace in race 2. The guys in front of us were really, really quick, so fair play to them. Nothing was wrong with my steering wheel or anything. There's no excuses. I just wasn't fast enough.
Well, just tell us about that last bend, because there was chaos really ensued at the end there when you'd all been driving with such discipline. What happened?
I think it was just one of those things. Race 2, last lap. I think it was Chris Pauly I was alongside with. Great racing there, Chris, if you're watching. That was absolutely phenomenal racing. And then what happened at the end into the third last corner? I think Ryan got squeezed a little bit, and then he tried to brake on the grass, and then you've not got the grip when you brake on the grass. So I think he sort of hit, and then that just kind of ended up the sort of domino effect from there.
It was rather, but
unfortunate, especially for Will.
Well, exactly. He's the one who lost. He lost out, didn't he? Will really did lose out there.
Yeah. He's been driving well all night, and it's not nice to see someone's end night like that, especially when they work so hard to put in having the pace and stuff like that. But but I looked into it, so yeah, I'm not complaining.
I'm sure you're not, Stu. Well, good to talk to you. Thanks very much for your time this evening, and good luck for next week, because you're obviously right up there, challenging for that championship. As is Ryan Martin as well. Ryan joining us now for our second interviewee of the night, and Ryan, I have to say that was most exciting towards the end. You had to pull yourself up from 10th place at the start of the grid, and that was quite something to get yourself into 4 in that second race, of course, having won the first one.
Yeah, good evening, guys. That race was, I think I say it every week, I think that's the most stressful race I've ever had, but this week I actually mean it. That from race 1, from lap 1 of race 2, it was either defending or attacking or car left, car right. The car was sliding, other people were. Oh my! What chaotic! What a chaotic race you just witnessed. But it was good fun, but at the same time, it was stressful. It was stressful.
It certainly was. It was exciting to watch, though, I have to say. And I also have to say as well, Ryan, tremendous discipline on part of all the drivers tonight. Just hearing sort of Stu saying there that the last lap, you've got to go for it. And when everyone is as bunched up and tightly packed as that, there's always the likelihood of some sort of incident happening, which of course we saw.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate. I've actually looked back at the replay, and I think it looks as though, to me, watching from every angle, because I can see inside Luke Arpino's car, I can see up behind his car, and it looks like when I went round the outside, he then got a car right message. He might have got a little bit spooked because his steering wheel then turned right, but I was right there and I was right on the paint at the side of the track. So I think it might have been possibly a little bit of netcode that pulled us together, because that can happen. It was really unfortunate because it was a great race up to that point, and it's just I feel bad because I've obviously been part of a circumstance that's ended a couple of people's races, but I was trying to be as clean as I could. As you say, the discipline that everybody showed during both races of not really doing any stupid moves, because this track, by virtue of the long straights and into tight corners, you usually get a lot of sends, and a lot of sends that might not necessarily be on. But tonight it looked like everybody was setting their moves up. They were taking their time, they were thinking about what they were doing, and it's just unfortunate that on the last lap there was a little bit of chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. But from your point of view, good points won tonight. Obviously, winning that first race, and a really good performance in the second to get fourth. So, Ryan, thanks a lot for your time. Good to talk to you this evening. Want to bring Matty Chambers in as well now, who obviously won the race, that second race. And Matty, great performance from you. You certainly took advantage of all the mayhem that was, all the chaos that was going on behind you, because there was such a dogfight between 5 or 6 cars. And it looked to me like you sort of just made the most of that.
Yeah, obviously got a bit of luck with the reverse grid because first race wasn't great. But yeah, after that, I sort of knew the job I had to do, which was try and get past Luke Harpino and break the toe. It was a struggle to start with, but I got a bit of luck with a back marker, which seemed to break the toe. And then I just tried to concentrate on my own race. I kept having a little glimpse of the relative, and I could just see a gaggle of cars all battling and jostling for position. And I knew if I just kept my head down and just opened the gap up, even if the quicker guys got through, like as long as I had a big enough gap, I should be able to bring it home. And luckily, like my plan sort of came to fruition and managed to get the win.
Well, you won it by 5 seconds. So, and then this sort of racing, that's like a country mile, isn't it, really? So you must be delighted with that. And of course, for great points for the Royal Navy team as well to beat some of these airmen.
Yeah, it's satisfying to get one over on them. It's not been a great season for us so far, but hopefully it'll be a little turnaround.
And certainly, well, hopefully you can build on that. And we've still got quite a few races to go, so you must be confident that you can build on the success tonight and take it even further.
Yeah, well, tonight I like a big shout out to Tom Stevens, because I completely forgot about the race to start with, and I came on and he's chucked over his setup that he's been working on. So it's his setup that I raced on, and he seemed to sort of suss the car a little bit better than I've been sussing it out. So yeah, thanks to him. I might leave the setup situations to him in future as well, if that's the outcome.
I would certainly do that, Matty. Congratulations, great win in that second race. I think we've just got time to talk to Michael Clough. Michael, well, that was a great race for you, a second place, and we've not really heard too much from you so far this season. So it's great to have you on after the success tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, nice first trip to the podium. It's been a while coming. Let's say that. I definitely didn't gel with this car at first, and wasn't too sure where to go with the setup and stuff. But last week I had a play around. Was a bit quicker last week, so I think I qualified 7th again. And then this week I managed to sort of seal the deal instead of spinning it on the first lap like last time.
Yes. Well, I did actually say at the beginning of the commentary that I suspected Michael Clough might have a few things to say this evening, and you proved me right. So well done on that. Obviously the turnaround in the reverse grid really helped you, didn't it? To get in a good position in that second race, but you certainly made the most of it. What was the key to your success tonight? Because there was a lot of argy-bargy going on in that last lap, which you managed to avoid.
Yeah, well, I think I've been guilty of previous races of not really defending too hard and thinking about the race and thinking about making up the ground, mostly because I had ground to make up from incidents, because I, like I said, was getting used to things. But in this race, I knew that the cars ahead of me finished behind me in the last one, so I had the pace on them, and I knew I had to push on because I had the fast guys behind me. And I just made sure to defend my position and hold my ground this time, because running that high up, mixing it up with the front runners, I had it all to lose. So tried not to.
And just one final thought: what will that result do for your season now? Do you think?
I don't want to jinx it by saying anything too outrageous. I hope that it's sim a few more points on the table, maybe jump up a couple of positions. But I know I'm in the bottom half at the moment, so it's a fair mountain to climb.
Well done anyway. It's great to see you on the podium tonight. Congratulations on that, and hopefully there's much more success to come your way in the races that we have left. Thank you to Michael and to all our guests who've joined us for the chat afterwards. I think they're all saying, David, how exhausting it is, this race is, and well, it's been pretty exhausting watching, to be honest.
Yeah, it's safe to say it's been a mixed reaction to tonight's races in the drivers' chat afterwards. I think they'll be happy that this is the only time they'll be going to Okayama this season. But that is it. A huge thank you, John, for all of those post-race interviews. They were absolutely fantastic. We've got 4 rounds left to go. We head off to Brands Hatch GP, Oulton Park Island, Silverstone National and Donington National. 4 rounds left in the championship, or rather 4 race nights left in the championship. So we head back next week to Brands Hatch though. But as I said, that is all we have time for tonight. A huge thank you to yourselves at home for watching. A huge thank you to all of our commercial partners, the British Forces Broadcasting Service. A huge thank you to Splunk and to racecarradios.co.uk. Huge thank you to Mike Yao from SimSport Solutions for bringing us all the wonderful videos and audio tonight. And from myself, Dave Christie, all that's left to say is thank you to John, and we'll see you next week.